Being born as a child with EB set my life apart. I was faced with health challenges in that my skin is not as strong as the skin of children without EB. That feeling of being a little bit different gave me a sense of who I was, and it forced me to think about who I wanted to be. I was always being supported and helped and protected, and that unique vantage point allowed me to think about what it is I could do to help other people in need. My thought at the time was that I would help reform law, and that's how I thought my life would go. Spring break, I am with my friends and we go to celebrate for a couple of days, and on our way, we actually got into a tragic car accident. I ended up losing 2 friends in that accident. We were in a vehicle that had flipped over 16 times. I suffered severe damage. My lungs collapsed, my heart failed. I'm lying in a hospital bed, I can't move. To go from an able-bodied person who had a skin condition to now being a person with multiple disabilities and multiple health issues was just this colossal change. I felt like I was a taker. I'm taking from my nurses, I'm taking from my doctors, I'm taking from my family, I'm taking from my friends, and I really felt like I needed to do something to give back as well. And when my family and friends were trying to figure out what we could do, we thought back to my time in the US hospital, and there was a piece of machinery there that we actually didn't have in Canada yet, and we thought we can help fund for this equipment in our Canadian hospital so that when other people are in a tragic situation, they too can have the equipment that helped save my life in the US. And that was a great starting point, and that was a great win, and that made me feel like even though I'm lying in a hospital bed, I wasn't helpless. That gave me such a sense of hope. I may be hurt and sick and ill now, but I can still give back. Through it all, I was still dreaming about what it was that I was fighting for. I knew I wanted to be a mom. Over the years, I was told that I could get pregnant, but that it would be really detrimental to my body to carry a child to term. And so I listened to my doctors, and I had tubal ligation, and we were 99% certain that I wouldn't get pregnant. 3 months after being married to Daryl, sure enough, that 1%, there we are against the odds again. My stomach was so badly hurt from the seatbelt wound that they actually had to use skin grafts from my legs and from my back to cover the wound of my stomach. The doctors were concerned as the baby would grow, would that skin graft hold? When I thought about that very same body bringing another body to life, I was petrified. Would this body be able to do that? By 8 months, I started going into labor. My daughter is born. We held her in our arms. We looked her over head to toe, and her skin was flawless, and she had 10 toes and 10 fingers, and she was just our perfect little bundle of joy. Shortly after they did some blood work, they put a Band-Aid on Amelia, and they were taking off the Band-Aid, and as the nurse took off the Band-Aid, they took off Mia's skin with it. And Daryl and I just looked at each other, and we knew. Having had a life myself with EB, I knew what was ahead of her, and I was worried for her. But Daryl took my hand and said, "I love you, and we're in this together." He said that I was the best person to help her. After we were able to bring her back home and we were figuring out our life, we watched our daughter's skin deteriorate, and it was heartbreaking. And at the same time, it was so inspiring. Here was this little girl who was struggling with all these different open wounds, and yet she persevered. This is what is important in life, to be the best that you are, whomever you are. When I was lying in a hospital bed, unsure if I was going to make it through the day or not, a doctor took a moment and said, "I need you to decide. Do you not want to die, or do you want to live?" And I thought, whoa, I want to live. I had no idea the challenges ahead of me, but I knew whatever they were, that I wanted to be there. I understand what it's like to have complex injuries and disabilities and health challenges. We can get lost in the suffering. Life is precious. We have to honor every moment that we have and celebrate who we are exactly the way that we are.